Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is $3 Theater, and I want to play like the funeral procession song right now because I've been really bothered by this information since I heard about it last night. I'd already wrapped up recording for the day, so I figured I would just touch upon it today. Hellboy 3 is no more. We've known this since February when Guillermo del Toro announced it officially that after going to the table with Mike Mignola, Ron Perlman, and the current copyright owners for Hellboy's film franchise, they couldn't come to an agreement to finalize del Toro's trilogy, and the deal fell through. Now, many people could argue the merits of that in terms of like what caused it to go down, what happened with it. And if I'm being perfectly bluntly honest here, the problem lied with del Toro. It is. That's the way I see it. And I'm not faulting him. Del Toro has a vision. Del Toro always had a vision, and as his films have progressed throughout the years, his vision has gotten larger. His desire for a larger canvas to play in has gotten larger. All of these things with him have built and grown, and I think he was expecting too much. I think he was expecting far too much from it. And we know at the end of Hellboy 2, there were twins that were announced, and there's a lot of shit going on, and the third film would probably require a very larger-than-life budget, or a larger-than-realistic budget. And it just didn't happen. Now, if it were me, I was Guillermo del Toro, I would seriously go to the table and be like, fan funding. Can we get fans to kick in on this shit? And I guarantee you, fans would step up, right? Fans would step up and be like, Hellboy 3? Hellboy yes, motherfucker, and kick down cash. I'd kick down cash for that. Now, that's not what happened. That's the end of the era. It's done. We have those two movies. Granted, the first one came out April 2004 on like a $66 million budget, grossed a little over $100 million worldwide. Then the second one came out 2008, which was 9 years ago, came out at the end of June 2008, or no, the beginning of July. The beginning of July, that's what it was. Because The Dark Knight, Christopher Nolan's movie, came out just 6 days later, which completely killed the momentum for Hellboy: The Golden Army. I think Universal dropped the ball in terms of when they released it. That movie should have come out probably towards the end of summer that year. Post The Dark Knight die down, the hype for that movie was incredibly high. But my God, Golden Army was a fantastic film. A fantastic movie that I'm so bummed we did not get a conclusion to. But it might be back now. It might be back. According to Mike Mignola himself, a Hellboy reboot is in the works. Getting ready to star Stranger Things David Harbour, who plays the sheriff on the show. And at first I'm all like, who can replace Ron Perlman? Ron Perlman is Hellboy. And then I take a look at David Harbour, and I'm like, he's kind of got the structure, the build of maybe a younger pre-Beauty and the Beast Ron Perlman. The problem with it is, though, is Detective Harper, or Sergeant Harper, or Sheriff Harper, that's his name. My brain is fried. Sergeant Harper, Sheriff Harper, fuck me, in the show is a, he's good. He's good. I'm glad to see him getting more stuff. But he's still not Ron Perlman, and it's going to take me a long time to wrap my head around that one. But this is what they're saying. They're saying that they're going for a hard R-rated Hellboy that will be directed by Neil Marshall. Now, as much as I love Guillermo del Toro, his works are hit or miss for me. They are. He's very cinematically inclined, but thematically, sometimes we don't mesh. Neil Marshall, on the other hand, hasn't done anything that I don't like. Okay, you've got Dog Soldiers, the werewolf movie from 2007. You had The Descent, which was a horror film. Oh, no, I think Dog Soldiers was well before that, before 2007. But you had The Descent, which was, at the time, a kind of a unique horror film. It took people by surprise, and a lot of people loved it. Then, of course, you got to follow that up with Doomsday, which I felt was a very interesting take on the apocalypse in Scotland. And or in Ireland, I forget, one of those countries, but it was a very interesting take on the apocalypse, going through the rundown cities with like the Mad Max-esque sort of characters there, and then going to the other side of the country where then all of a sudden it's taking on a medieval approach. It was just such an interesting and again refreshing take on this genre, and I felt that Neil Marshall has always kind of gotten, he's done well. And so then you've got his work on Game of Thrones, which, if I recall correctly, he did the episode where they first use Bayfire. It's season 2, the second to last episode, I think was his. Anyway, the dude's a good director is what I'm trying to say. And now him coming on board to adapt a screenplay for Hellboy, an R-rated screenplay, and everything else. I'm legitimately excited having thought about it more. I like Neil Marshall's work. I like the comic. I like the character. I like the guy they're talking to. Not as much as Ron Perlman. But I'm more on board with it than I thought I would be. And at this point now, we just have to wait to see what's going to happen. And I'm wondering why. I'm wondering why now they chose to reboot it instead of just letting it die. I mean, there hasn't really been a gigantic call for Hellboy recently. There hasn't been a big push in terms of outside of the fan stuff. So I'm wondering what's going on with it. And that might be because we're in a situation right now. We're in this era right now where R-rated comic book movies are able to actually be profitable, and not only profitable, but critically appraised. And so instead of going back and doing a third film, finishing up a trilogy that at this point would have been 13 years old this year, had it come out, they want to reboot it in order to capitalize on the successes of Logan and Deadpool and whatever else may be coming down the pipeline. And I get that. That from a business perspective, it makes sense. But from a fan perspective, it totally sucks. So if I were Guillermo del Toro, this is what I would do. I would release my treatment or my script. I would put it out there into the ether and let the fans at least get the conclusion. Or bring it in like an audio drama and have Ron Perlman, Selma Blair, and whoever else, Doug Jones, come in, record the audio, and then just put it out there. Put it out there like a little 2-hour fucking audio movie and let the audiences get it that way. And that would be something that would be really cool. Unfortunately, I don't think they have the legal ability to do that. If I was Mike Mignola, I would totally do that. I would do that because that would then reinvest fans into the franchise and maybe get them excited for a reboot. But at the same time, it could have the alternative effect there where instead of getting fans on board for a reboot, it then makes them clamor for the movie to be made and might hurt an opening of a new film, which sucks. It totally, totally sucks one way or the other. So now what we get to deal with is a reboot of Hellboy from a very talented director with an actor that needs a starring vehicle for himself. He had a bit part in in Suicide Squad. He's been in a few other things here and there. But I understand why it's time for David Harbour to get his own thing. It sucks that we as fans of Hellboy are losing out on finishing up the story, but it never takes away the two films from 13 years ago and 9 years ago that even to this day hold up effects-wise, story-wise, and everything else, and they're still fun as hell to watch. So I guess, let's all raise a glass to what could have been, and let's toast to what might be coming and the prospects of which it might hold. But what are your thoughts on this? Are you guys cool with the Hellboy remake? An R-rated Neil Marshall directed Hellboy remake? Do you feel like Guillermo del Toro is this getting kind of screwed here, getting the shaft? These are things I want to know. Also, do you think that Doug Jones might come back as Abe Sapien, given the fact that he's pretty much the only actor in Hollywood who might be able to pull off something like that? Again, comment below. Thumbs up the video if you guys like it. Check back daily from our movie news commentary from me. My name is, of course, Matt Jarbo. You've been listening to 3 Buck Theater. I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a fantastic day. Peace out.